and a happy new year. I'm Colion Noir, and this is the first CN Live of 2017. And we decided we're going to kick things off right, and we're going to start with one of the most awesome people in the world, Julie Golob. How's that for kind of rubbing it in, right? What's going on, Julie?
That's quite an intro.
Yeah, I figured, I'm one for hyperboles. Not saying that what I just said about you was a hyperbole, but nonetheless. Right. So, talk to me. How was your holidays, first of all?
Oh, fantastic. This is my off season, so it's the total break time for me. I don't do anything but hang out with family and friends and eat a lot of food and and just kind of reflect and kind of think about what I want to do for the next year. So it was really good. How about you?
Non-eventful for the most part. I think I fell asleep around 10:30 on New Year's Eve. I thought about lying and coming up with some grandiose story about how amazing my New Year's was, and as my producer said, I rode down on the New Year's Eve ball in New York or something. I couldn't sell it. But no. It was fun. It was relaxing. My regular life is pretty chaotic as is, so I actually think I invert things. So on holidays when I'm supposed to be kind of turned up and all over the place, I tend to just sit back and I'm like, So my holidays were not eventful.
Well, so you basically had acted like your New Year's was that you had toddlers or something like mine.
I mean, I literally slept into the new year. Like literally slept into the new year. Yeah. But it is what it is. So you're in your off season. So I didn't even know you had an off season, so to speak. Now, how does that work from a shooting competition standpoint? Or when you say off season, what does that mean?
Well, it used to be that there were no matches and you could take a genuine break, and it used to tie in with hunting season. Now there are so many matches that go on and people are shooting all over the place, but you just can't maintain a high level of performance if you don't turn it off and take what they call the principle of the break. So I force myself into an off season that usually starts around November and extends up until the great and wonderful SHOT Show.
Gotcha. Oh, man. We'll get to SHOT Show later. I noticed personally when I go long periods of time where I don't shoot and I come back, I feel like I shoot better. Now, is that just kind of a placebo effect in my mind? Or is that something that you notice yourself when you take your breaks and then you come back and you go shooting?
I think it's a great refresh button. A lot of times over the season, we develop these bad habits that, we keep reinforcing over and over again. But when you take a break, you get kind of a clean slate and you can really focus, whereas you had a lot of distractions and a lot of little specific goals that you want to achieve. But when you take that break, you can hit the recharge button and really go at it.
Yeah. So I do a horrible job usually of providing a context for people who are on my show because I just assume everybody knows everybody that I already know. So for people who don't know, what is it that you do from the competitive shooting side, the activist side? Let's start from the competitive shooting side. Let's talk about some of your achievements and the things that you were able to accomplish in that world.
Sure. Well, I have the wonderful title called Pro Shooter, which basically means that I represent a number of companies and get to mainly compete and with the goal of winning all over the world. And so my specific job is to essentially train and then represent these companies at various competitions. But as part of all of that, it involves, being a brand representative and an ambassador to the shooting sports, as well as being a Second Amendment advocate. So I'm
a little envious. I would love to have the title of pro shooter. I mean, I don't shoot competitively. You've seen me shoot. Could I be a pro shooter?
Yeah. Here's the deal. I'm going to date myself here. Back in the 80s and 90s, pro shooters were the people who were winning all the time. They were the national world champions, and those are the only people that were repping companies. But now, with the rise of social media and the rise of the importance of using people to talk about your product and get the message out there in a non-selly sell kind of way or as user-based way. There are a lot of people out there who started out as enthusiasts who are now completely pro, and they've never won a national or world title. So it's totally doable.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the things I have noticed too. It's amazing how social media, because first when I got into it, just on just the internet itself kind of really transformed the industry. And then now I'm watching a new transition happen with respect to social media. And then, like you said yourself, there are a lot of people who just kind of start off as enthusiasts, and now they're shooting on such a high level now. I'm like, how do they do that? But so for someone like you, how do you keep up with your abilities and then everything else that you do? So what does that practice session look like if you do practice?
So I have to be very structured. I have to figure out exactly what goals I want to achieve, what matches I want to go to, and then I have to plan everything out. So it takes a lot of thought and dedication and self-discipline because there are always distractions.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But and when that happens, you just have to weigh the pros and cons and figure out, is this opportunity better? Is it better to keep at the training goals and give up on a potential opportunity or a match or even something like this show can take up a lot of time. So it all just depends.
Yeah. So now with that being said, what is a typical training session for you when you actually go out to the range and just you're going there for the purpose of training? What does that look like?
Sure. I practice, it usually is anywhere from 3 to 5 hours, and I'm shooting anywhere from 300 to 500 rounds in that time frame. And I have a very specific set of goals I want to achieve within that training session. And I just check off the boxes. And if I notice that I'm getting tired or I'm not performing well, then I always try to end on a good note and then tackle it the next time I go out. Gotcha.
So now, with that being said, you're there about 3 to 5 hours session, about 300, 500 rounds. How often is that? Is that every week, once a week? Is that every day? How does that?
In leading up to like a major national or world championship, it'll be every day. And generally during the off season or as I'm building up, it's at least 2 to 4 times a week. So it all depends on where I'm at and what I'm doing and what I need to work on.
Gotcha.
So it all comes into, depending on the schedule and what's happening, it kind of goes from there.
So do you ever get a chance to actually just leisure shoot? Just to shoot leisurely? I mean, does that even exist in your world or no?
On rare occasions, it's usually for some sort of gig, like a brand ambassador summit or something. Okay. And, they're like, oh, go shoot this playing card. And like that happened last year. And I never shot a playing card in my entire life.
How'd it go?
And I thought, wow, it went very well.
Oh, okay.
I beat out the other 2 guys, so it was good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So now, from that perspective, what would you say is your weak point when it comes to competition shooting versus your strong points?
I'll start with the strengths. I think what has helped me succeed so much is my honesty with myself and knowing exactly what my capability is. Okay. So it's easy when you're in competition, the run and gun style stuff, to be tempted to try a target engagement scenario or go a little faster. But anytime you really do that, sometimes the wheels fall off. And once that starts, it's really hard to get back into the game. So that is probably the where I shine, because I know exactly what I'm capable of. And when I push myself, I know my limits. But as far as the weakness, I guess, I'm not going to say too much, but getting old stinks. I've been doing this for a while. Yeah. So watching all of these young shooters come up and they're so talented, I have to work that much harder just to keep up with those young legs and those fast trigger fingers.
Yeah, right. So now, really quickly before we go to our first break, you've seen me shoot. You've shot with me a little bit. So what would you say off the top were kind of my strengths and my weaknesses? I like to ask competition shooters this because, one, the narcissist part of my brain, and then two, I really do like to see the different perspectives in people, and because I think I know, but
Yeah, I would say that 2 of your strengths would be, first being you just go for it. There's no holding back. You're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to try it. And there's no hesitation. There's no like, I don't know, or maybe I need to practice this a little bit. You really go and you tackle a skill. And then you also have really good work ethic. You keep trying it. You want to try it again and again and again and again until you get it done. And that is not something everybody has. So that's a challenge. I would say if you had one weakness it would be
because there is only
that,
one.
Sometimes you aren't patient enough for a shot. And so you'll force a shot too soon, and sometimes that means makeup shots or that sort of thing. So you have to combine that tenacity and that drive with a little bit of patience.
Yeah, I think I have time insecurity. I think that's why I really do. I'm thinking a second to me when the clock is on feels like an hour. So actually no, that's wrong. A second to me feels like half a second when the clock is running. And so I think, So, okay, I'll agree with that. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're actually going to talk about how you got into shooting in the first place.
Great.
So,